nothing about, and you bring it back, and that serves as a saving, amplifying force. So this business of the four, we're going to have a central Buddha and four then representing east, south, west, and north. Now here they are. This is a Tibetan 11th century figure, and those are the 5 Buddhas. Here sits the Buddha himself at the immovable point. The Bo tree, the tree of illumination, the Bodhi tree, the tree of awakening. The word Buddha means the one who has waked up. The eyes have opened. The eye is, we carry it in our pocket all the time, or we hope we can, on the back of a dollar bill, at the top of the pyramid, where the sides, pairs of opposites, come together. There the eye of knowledge opens. But in the field of action, you're down on the side, and you're on this side, and the other guy's on the other side, and so you have action. But this eye is the middle eye. It's the eye of the referee in a tennis match. It doesn't care which side wins. You can't have a tennis game unless there's some serious intention to knock the other chap out there. So time asks for violence, but this eye asks for the recognition behind the violence of peace. Where the lion lies down with the lamb, this doesn't mean the lion isn't going to eat the lamb. Of course he's going to eat the lamb. But it means nothing's happening when that happens. That's just a temporal thing, and the peace, you must realize the peace that lies behind that act. So here's the Buddha under the tree. His eyes have opened as a result of the influence of these 5. These are meditation Buddhas, dhyani Buddhas. They are not historical Buddhas. They're subtle matter. And it's through their influence that he comes to this knowledge. The pig here represents ignorance and is pierced by a lance. With the opening of the eye, ignorance is wiped out. These are the subtle nerves, each one with a name. The word up here says pranayama. That means breath control. You breathe in. Imagine the breath is filling all of these nerves, activating all the senses, all the organs of consciousness, so that we're going to become more and more conscious. That's the whole point of it. As I said yesterday, demons or monsters are what inhibit consciousness. Many of the demons are professors and teachers. And they set up rules for how we should think. And they're not always helpful. So of these multitude of nerves, there are 3 that are most important. And here they are. Now here are the 7 centers. We have a central spine nerve, runs up the center of the spine, called sushumna. And on each side is a side nerve. The one that is here rendered gray is called Ida, I-D-A, and it refers to lunar consciousness. Now this is the most important clue to the whole business. Lunar consciousness. Consciousness that dies as the moon does and is resurrected. I spoke of the serpent yesterday, casts its skin to be born again. So the serpent represents the power of life, energy, and consciousness to throw off death. But it is in the field of death. It's consciousness in the field of death, throwing off death and putting on new bodies. Reincarnation, or the sequence of the generations. Every time a new generation is begotten, the death of this generation is thrown off, and life has moved on. It's throwing off these bodies and putting on new. This is symbolic then of life energy and consciousness engaged in the field of time, the field of death and birth. The moon sheds its shadow to be born again. The serpent sheds its skin to be born again, and they are symbolic of this power. The other nerve is called Pingala, P-I-N-G-A-L-A, and represents solar consciousness. The sun does not die. When it sets, it takes light with it. It does not carry death in itself. So this is consciousness disengaged from the field of time. And now just think of the different philosophies that you know. The There are those who begin to feel so spiritual. You run into them in ashrams. They walk a little above the ground. And life is vulgar. I'll never forget my experience. The first time I was in an ashram, it was years and years ago. It was a gorgeous, beautiful place with deer grazing on the lawns and girls in saris on bridges looking down at the goldfish swimming in pools. It was simply ravishing. And then some vulgarian, I think he was a book salesman or something like that, came into the group, but it seemed like, how can we tolerate this kind of gross body? So when you think of your spiritual life as relieving you of the physical, you're going up this track, and you're going to have a great disappointment somewhere along the line because your body's still there. This is known as manic depressive experience. You've identified yourself with the subtle body, but you're still gross. And you're trying to become the immortal while you're still on earth.